for me to be your senior warden. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm here to give you a brief update as to where we are as a church. I'm sure that most of you know, last Friday, we signed the loan docs, and we had a fabulous turnout at the Sunday groundbreaking out at the new site for our second campus. We're so excited about the impact that this campus is going to have on our fast-growing community. It's just amazing. There's so many, as you all know, and we read in the papers about the thousands and thousands of people and families that are moving there. This will be an opportunity for some that have never been to a Christian church to actually start off in preschool. It'll gather in their families, and we think it's a wonderful way to spread the love of Jesus and the knowledge of Jesus. Also, we don't want to forget, we're about to roll out a fundraising campaign for our main campus here in the historical downtown. We're excited about that, and we're really looking forward to becoming a huge, bigger presence than we even are today in St. Augustine. Our vestry, it's a great group of people. I'm so proud to serve with them. They're really working well together. We all do, and we don't always agree on certain things, but we always prioritize Jesus. And so we come to what's best for the church and the community. So that's been really exciting, and I'm very proud to be with these people. One other thing, we've got our missions, a variety of different missions that all these different leaders are heading up, and we're thriving in that fashion. There is a new mission that has started. It's called Growing Together, and it's connecting with churches like off of West King Street and different areas that need some assistance. Let's see, we have Grace Delata and Father Kurt who's heading up that mission, and right now, actually, there's an opportunity, if there's any interest whatsoever, and to help, to contribute. They're trying to put together a new parking lot because their parking lot was destroyed during some of the storms. It's not just a parking lot, it's a parking lot that allows the children in those neighborhoods to play basketball, to gather in a safe environment. It's an opportunity for the mammogram bus to pull in and give free mammograms for people that really need them. And it's also a parking spot for the
Wildflower Clinic.
Wildflower Clinic, that is a free clinic in that area.
The nice thing is we'll have a chance to give to that because I think it's June 18, Pastor Anthony Britton from New Mount Moriah Church is going to be a guest preacher here, and will give us a chance to give a love offering to that project. So,
right. And the community is really involved as well as to support this fundraiser to build this parking lot.
Joanna's has also been very involved in the West King stuff.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. Well, God's doing great things, and I'm really excited to be involved in this.
Morning, everyone. Junior Warden, let's see, we've there's so much.
You got the Rona?
No, I don't have the Rona, but I have some ick that it's been hanging on, so that's why I'm wearing the mask. I don't want to give it to anyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on. I did want to bring up one thing that Meredith mentioned. The fundraising campaign for our downtown campus, it's been going on for a while. It's part of the More Than Bricks campaign. It's not like a new fundraiser. Our More Than Bricks campaign had two components to it from the start. And what we're doing is one of the things we realized was that a lot of parishioners and folks did not realize that it wasn't all just funds for the North Campus, that there's a component of it that seeks to help the downtown campus. And what we're doing with this, I guess, reinvigoration, if you will, is to bring more attention to that and to the downtown campus and the things we're looking to do. So that's really what that's about. It's a continuation of the More Than Bricks campaign. There's always stuff to do around here. I mean, everything from termites to toilets. It's fun. I will say
a leak in the fire system.
Yeah, that's
week.
The latest thing.
Yeah.
And one of those AC units is down. So I think we have to cough up a pretty significant chunk of change to get that replaced, unless we can cobble it together and use some duct tape or something to keep it going.
I believe in the miracle power of
Ken. Yeah, healing power of the AC guy. Yeah, all right. I'm going to address a couple of items that have, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions, but I want to kind of get out ahead of them. First is our parking lot. As many of you know, we have been in kind of this back and forth with the city of St. Augustine about our parking lot. We think, in the final stages of getting a new plan approved where the city will then remove the work stop order on our parking lot, allow us to regrade it, so we won't have as
So
many.
it can stop swallowing our cars?
Well, yeah, that, you know, and, you know, because right now we've been at a full stop for over a year now, and we haven't been able to do anything to the parking lot. So we do have efforts to, you know, plans, I would say, to beautify the lot, to grade it, to make it, you know, keep bettering the traffic flow and all that. So that's one item I wanted to touch on. The other item I wanted to touch on is the kitchen. I know that for a long time, we have had getting the kitchen back up to reopened and kind of back up to snuff has been a real difficult problem. We have a contract with a parishioner who has a great deal of experience. You know, it has, I will say that the issues have been complex and long running. In the spirit of trying to make sure that we don't, I'll just put it this way, it's been very difficult to balance the needs of the church with the needs of this parishioner and the huge task that is still ongoing to try to bring the kitchen back up to snuff. Some of the issues we have had with that are that
You know, let's just say we're working on it.
yeah, well, we're working on it. We've got a bunch of issues that we're trying to address, and we have put together a vestry subcommittee for that in order to address those issues and try to come up with a solution that's going to work all around. So I kind of wanted to get out ahead of that one. What else? There's an ADA project that's going on. I'm hoping that it'll start soon. That where we'll increase ADA access to the downtown campus. That's also been long running due to scheduling delays and costs and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, those are just a few of the things that are hitting. So questions?
Build a new ramp.
Yes.
Could you address that, please, Jim?
Absolutely, yeah. So the ADA project, the plan is, so let me back up. So the current status is anybody who needs who needs wheelchair access today has to go up the ramp from the parking lot into Hendry Hall, through one set of double doors, through another set of double doors, and then through the lobby door on the south side here. In order to get into the church. That has been one method. The other method is that wheelchair folks have to go all the way around the children's playground and then all the way up and up the ramp down the side and come around. So what we're trying to do is provide a more direct access route. And what we're going to do is instead of the steps in the breezeway, we're going to take those steps and make it a ramp. And then we're going to add an automatic door here on the south side so that you can hit a button and it'll open up. So hopefully that will allow easier access where we don't have to go through Hendry Hall. So
When do you think it'll be completed?
we're hoping to have that completed this summer. So it should be starting here soon. So
It has to run
has to,
when the
School's
school
out.
is not in session.
Yep.
So we need to do it now.
yep. So we should start seeing things happening soon. Other questions?
Yeah, Bunny, I think or are you just doing your hair? Oh, okay, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yesterday with the tours, we had over 170 people come through this church
Oh, my goodness.
in one day.
So you're looking for more docents.
We are looking for more docents, yeah. But we also had two couples that came through that live in World Golf Village and were very interested in hearing about the new campus.
Awesome.
One of them has a preschool on the waiting list here.
Awesome.
Yep.
You know, just a word about timing on the new campus. So people are going, okay, so how's this going to work? We're breaking ground. It should be 14 months to the day that we broke ground till it's open. The contract is a guaranteed maximum price and a guaranteed opening date. And the company that's doing it is very good at both of those. And it's the company a parishioner started. So we have a pretty good amount of leverage there, right? Right? Because the parishioner is helping lead the project. So it's fantastic that we have a guaranteed maximum price. This is a day and age where that practice has gone away, but because it's a it's a parishioner's project. It's someone who, as a young man, wanted to be a priest. And I think counted the cost and said, I think I could make that this afternoon. And so went into commercial contracting. And all his life, he's given significant care and feeding to many parishes in the diocese. And he loves us and wants this to thrive. So he's a great thing. So the day it opens, 14 months. So if you go from May 1st, that's July 1st. We'll start doing campus. Kurt will start meeting with the launch team somewhere in the fall. And so in the fall, we'll have two teams going. We'll have the launch team of downtown and the launch team of out there, because we got a lot of mission right here. So that's not the only place where there's mission. We got a lot of mission right here. 170 people showing up on one day. We've got Seymour Garden right there that Dan Bagan and Brian Smith were using with a really nifty idea, and it just never got locked into the rest of the church. We're going to do that idea again, only we're going to have Michael help lead it with Caleb. So we'll have a priest and the music director leading it together, making sure that that First Friday live music scene is tied into the life of the church. We've got, for the first time that I know of, at least since I've been here, we have 3 professors at Flagler attending, and Caleb and a group of graduates that have started attending that really have a heart for helping us reach the Flagler campus community. And then we always have a new group of empty nesters moving in here, and those people are looking for a church. So we've got a lot of mission right here. The reason More Than Bricks wasn't just for out there, it's for down here, is because God's doing just as much here as there. And so we feel like the bishop, the diocese, and the Lord has called us to be in both places significantly. And so we're trying to, it's a scary yes, but we're trying to give the Lord a yes.
I want to say one more thing, since I'm here so much.
You got to have the microphone to say stuff, because let's hand it over. Yeah, but it's streaming.
I'd like to see Jim Sevier schedule a cleaning process for the church inside that these sextons cannot handle.
Okay, that's good.
Mopping the floors, dusting.
Will you repeat that for the people online?
I'll repeat that.
Okay.
Parish Workday.
Yeah.
Parish Workday.
Parish Workday, thank you so much. That's something that's been in our docket. The trick was scheduling it, but it is on our plan. And yes, we do need one, and we will schedule one. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Thank you for answering,
Mr.
because
Green.
that was one of my, I had 2 questions. One of them was going to be the date toward the new campus, basically launch date. The second one is, God bless Father Ken for all he's done for this place. It's been far more than any of us can understand. God bless he and Beth as they move to a different stage in their life, and God be with them. But what's the plan for Trinity, since we have now lost Father Ken? Not
Awesome.
lost, but he's stepped into retirement.
Yeah, we've launched him into the next phase of his life. Great question. Thank you for that. Usually when you lose a beloved associate, and I can say this with pretty good authority because I was a diocesan employee, and I watched this with 60 in the Diocese of Arizona. I watched this in the Diocese of Texas, and I've seen it here. When a church loses a beloved associate, what usually happens is, in our case, a third of the clergy work just left the building. And then the other two, it's going into summer, the other two, someone's going to be gone. And so usually what happens is the existing clergy gets super tired. The people are sad because a beloved clergy person is gone. And then it takes you about, everybody has to come back in the fall. You start putting together a search committee and you start searching for a new associate rector. I'm 4 years out of St. John the Divine in Houston. They just found my replacement. 4 years. So part of what's happening around the country is the market for clergy is remarkably difficult right now. And I came from a diocese where 25% of the churches don't have a rector, let alone an associate. Another church that I'm friends with the rector, the church next door, they had a curate. Curate is code for brand new, fresh out of seminary, 29 years old. He's been a priest for 9 months. It's supposed to be a 2-year training program. You come out of curacy and you go be an assistant. And then you do that for 3 or 4 years. Then you go become a rector. A fairly large church called him to be a rector 9 months into being a priest. And the weird part was this was a super progressive church and a really conservative rector. And they said, so we're an open and affirming church. Are you open and affirming? He goes, no. Well, so will you continue to do same-sex marriages? No. Great, we'll take you. I mean, just like you have an economy for clergy right now that is so incredible, like we're helping with Palatka because they can't find anybody. And so people will say, well, the Diocese of Florida has a lot of trouble finding clergy because we've got this bishop problem. That's true, we have a bishop problem, but solving the bishop problem does not solve the clergy problem. For 30 years in the church, we've ordained people that were mostly therapeutic, not leaders. In Martha's husband's era, we ordained leaders for the body of Christ. But for 30 years, we ordained people that were really therapists. And so people who can lead growing things we're incredibly short on. And that's why having Father Kurt is an incredible gift. Now, we go into this time where people are waiting 4 years to find an associate, and somehow God has found us waiting in the wings for us to ordain. Jim Huster, who's sitting back here, and Caleb Jones.
I was just going to say, with God's help, we raised our own.
We raised our own. Yeah, we made our own. And so, God made them, and we're just the beneficiaries. They're not fresh out of seminary and can't find their way to the parking lot. They actually are parishioners here. They know us, we know them. And they've been in ministry for 15 and 20 years between the two of them. They have 35 years of ministry experience. They love the Lord. They handle accurately the word of truth. We're a very narrow place, a place that preaches the Bible, prays the prayer book, and loves the people. That's a pretty narrow swath right now in the Episcopal Church. And we've got 4 clergy now coming that can stack hands on that as a model for us to do the church going forward. And it's just a gift from the Lord. It's a gift from the Lord.
I have an online question.
Yes.
I'm going to read it to you
Okay.
exactly as written.
Okay.
Is the issue with the kitchen the cleanliness? I'm confused about how the needs of one member, confused about how the needs of one member outweighs the needs of the church.
The issue is more than cleanliness. It's a complicated issue. Jim and a group of vestry people are working on it. So it's, there are a lot of wrinkles to it, and nobody has had the perspective to see all of the wrinkles. And we're putting people together to look at it from all sides. So generally in any problem, there are a variety of perspectives, and we each think we know the totality because we know our perspective. And so we're going to work on making sure that the vestry team, who's responsible for facilities, has a good handle on all that is going on. And part of what we're trying to do is use the kitchen more, not less. What we'd really like to do is if you've been a part of, how many of you have used the kitchen for midweek things? So if you're someone who's been blessed by midweek things, most of us, how many of you that use the kitchen for midweek things have kids in the home? Oh, the answer there is 0. Hands went up. For those of you online, no hands went up. That's because our kitchen system assumes you're bringing food after that you got home from work or you didn't work, you created food and you brought it for a potluck. That's really great unless you're a mom with kids in the home. And if you get off work at 5:15, you can't, and you have to go get your kids, you don't have time to stop and cook or even time for the drive-through. So we need to find a way to create a meal so that a mom or a dad or both could show up at 6 o'clock and pay a food cost meal and get a meal at cost so that they could do family programming, the entire family, so that the parents could go to a Bible study, so that the child could go to a child's program, so that youth could go to a youth ministry thing. And that way, it would be a kitchen that serves the entire body. So what we're trying to do, part of the complexity here, is it's not enough to go back to what was. We need to take it beyond what was to a kitchen that can serve the entire body of the church so that we can have a multi-generational Wednesday experience like we have a multi-generational Sunday experience. Because we're trying to be the church for the entire community and not just the community where our kids are out of the house already. Yeah, Ray.
On Friday's email blast, you talked about and requested parishioners to sign the letter to the General Convention for the election of Charlie. Can you address what's going on and why it's taken so long to get him approved?
Sure. To try to make this to make a really complicated thing simple. Because having a church whose government is modeled after our federal system, it makes a lot of sense to go, we got a president and a Congress, and we got 3 layers of, well, that's true. But then when you go through and you look at all the little regulations it takes to get a bill passed, it's a simple system starts getting very complicated very fast. Our system is fairly complicated. We elected a bishop on a broad base. We had a group of parishioners that were appointed by the standing committee, not by the bishop, by the standing committee. The standing committee functions as the ecclesial authority in the absence of a bishop, and they help put together bishop races because you don't want a bishop to rule from the grave. When it's time for me to retire, I don't get to be the one who handpicks my successor. That's just not healthy. So what happens is the standing committee put together a team. The team got a broad base of candidates from progressive to conservative. The diocese came together, the elected delegates from the laity and the clergy that are resident in the diocese got together and had an election last May. In that election, on the 3rd ballot, we elected Charlie Holt as the bishop with an 80% majority of the laity and about a 55% majority of the clergy. Now, the laity being more conservative than the clergy is not a surprise. The old joke in the Episcopal Church is, where's the difference between conservatives and progressives in the Episcopal Church? The altar rail. Where do they meet? The rail. So that's not a surprise. So that group then didn't like Charlie's election. They packaged sort of the gentleman's agreement on these like walkabout things where you go talk about who you are and what you believe. The gentleman's agreement on those is you never quote anybody from the last one. They're exhausted. They're incoherent. They're rambling. And who knows what's going to come out of somebody's mouth. They're just exhausted. At that third one, Charlie was by far the most coherent. He was quoting the Bible. He was quoting the prayer book. He articulated a mission. Now, he also made a couple of statements that were awkward about race that got cut and pasted in a video. You cut and paste any of us in a video and we look pretty bad. You can cut and paste things and make all of us look pretty awful. So context is everything. There's a group of people that decided that Charlie is too conservative and too traditional. We don't want him as bishop. And they appealed the process to a sympathetic court in the rest of the country. They said, hey, there were problems in the election. They had a second election. That same group basically argued the opposite objections. In the first election, they objected too many clergy voted. In the second election, they objected that we didn't allow enough laity to vote. In the first election, they objected that we changed the rules to let people vote. In the second election, they objected that we didn't change the rules to allow people to vote. So when someone objects to everything, and the objections keep changing, and in fact the objections are opposite, you just go, hey, there's an agenda at play, and I think there's an agenda at play. The people that are objecting are really about 20 clergy, 15 of whom are retired, and many of whom are not canonically resident in our diocese, and some of whom don't even live in our diocese, but they are canonically resident, and 5 of whom ran for bishop in the previous election cycle. So factor that into your thoughts about this.
And a lot of them are retired,
Yep,
so they have no recourse.
they're retired.
Parliamentarian is the second one that was not attached to the church or anything, but
Yeah.
was it for businesses?
Yeah.
not just church.
Yeah, we literally had the most outstandingly clean election in Episcopal Church history. We not only had outside people watching to make sure the votes were counted correctly, we had an outside parliamentarian that's his job, and we had an outside canon law expert making sure we followed every jot and tittle of every rule. They then objected again. It went to another court of review. Again, the court of review is being chaired by the person who was the chairperson for this group called the Consultation, which is a consortium of 7 pressure groups in the Episcopal Church. So the head of the court of review was also the head of the group of pressure groups that want to invalidate Charlie's election. That person didn't resign from the court of review for conflict of interest. They resigned from writing the Consultation's letter of objection. So this is a little bit like, imagine if David Duke, the former president of the KKK, had resigned not from the KKK, but resigned from writing a letter opposing the government, telling people you can't turn fire hoses on folks, but staying on the court to settle the decision about whether the KKK should be allowed to beat people. I mean, it's just on its face completely inappropriate, and yet the church allowed it to happen. Now what happens from here is we have our 2 elections, then the court of review weighs in an opinion, and the standing committee puts together a package of materials. They sent that package of materials to every bishop and every standing committee, and you now have 120 days for standing committees to either vote yes, no, or just not answer, which is an effective no vote. Now, half of them have already voted. We're 60 days into the 120-day process. About half the standing committees and half the bishops have voted. You can go back and change your mind. and change your vote, all the way up until the last day. So we're waiting until the last day to see what happens. Right now it looks pretty bad, and it looks like we'll have to have yet a third election, is what it's a little crazy. Now people have asked, is this about Charlie being conservative or progressive? And I don't actually think that's what this is about. Charlie is a traditionalist on marriage. He's got a remarkable grasp of the Bible. He's got a remarkable grasp of the prayer book. And he's got a remarkable vision for the ministry of this diocese going forward to grow churches for everybody. He's pledged to follow every canon of the church and to make sure that LGBT people, same-sex ordinations, and same-sex marriages aren't discriminated against, but he will protect traditionalists in the church. So you've got two things going on that are conflated. One is, what is people's perception of marriage, traditional or progressive? That's one question. The other thing going on is, what is your posture toward those who don't share your convictions? So whether you're for same-sex marriage or you're for traditional marriage, you could be open toward others or closed toward others. In this case, the person who's conservative on marriage is open and progressive on his posture toward others, and the group that's progressive on marriage is closed in their posture toward others. So what they've said, one standing committee wrote a letter that said, we can't vote for Charlie because he was a traditionalist and he's believed traditional things in the privacy of his own heart. We can't approve him because previous behavior counts. Now, if God takes into account previous behavior, you can't have clergy in the Episcopal Church because they're only sinners wearing collars. You know, like that's just so egregiously fundamentalist. You're gonna judge the inner thoughts of someone's heart, not their behavior. I just don't understand that. So I joined the Episcopal Church from a very fundamentalist tradition because I wanted to get away from telling people how to think. And the Episcopal Church welcomes you, made it so a progressive and a conservative could sit in the same church, pray the same prayers, read the same Bible, and love one another. And so the group that's opposing, one of the things they said was, as long as there is one priest not doing same-sex marriages, we have made no progress. Really, none? One priest and 100 doing it means no progress. I don't understand that. In our case, what we're doing here is we want you to be oriented not around your news feed, not around your political beliefs, but around preaching the Bible, praying the prayer book, and loving everyone who comes in our midst. So we don't think red and blue lenses are helpful. We want the lens of Jesus Christ to shape everything we do. The way we treat our neighbor, whether the neighbor's rich, poor, young, old, conservative, progressive, gay, straight, married, single, divorced, never, or divorced 12 times. You know, like we're just trying to help us have a perspective on the world that starts in Jesus, our scriptures in the ancient church, and works our way forward, not that starts with the current anxiety and stews in it. We do not want you to stew in our current anxiety. We want you to have a grounding in the Word of God, the Book of Common Prayer, and deep love for our neighbor because Jesus said to. So love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love our neighbor as ourselves. So we've got 60 more days of waiting to see what happens. This letter that we forwarded around for you to sign, it might help, it might not help. And one thing I would say is this has been remarkably awful for Charlie and especially for his wife. It's been mean, it's been dishonest, it's been really vicious and evil. And so, but do pray for Charlie and for his wife. It's been very unchristian. Yeah.
I want to make a comment on two of the questions. I personally think that we should support the letter. I think the video was excellent, and sometimes you have to take a stand and step out. So I personally think that would be a good thing to do. But for Dave's question, after listening to Ken's sermon today, I think a way we can honor him moving forward and be sad about losing him is to be that spark. And today y'all talked about lots of ways to be the spark: time, talent, and treasure. So find something you want to do that's new and different, and honor Ken and all the wonderful things he did for us while he was here, and let's
Indeed.
make a big fire.
Indeed. Now, we need to wrap this up because we have reserved for Beth Herzog. Okay, nice. Yeah, I feel. Do I? Am I like Anchorman? I'm like the guy in Anchorman. He'll put it out there. He'll just read anything on the teleprompter. Yeah, that's a great word for us, Susie. That's a great word for us. We have the mission of God to be done everywhere in our county.
Amen.
And I would say the thing to do is pray and say, Lord, what would you have me do? We're about 60 grand behind in our funding right now for the church for the year. We kept assuming we'd increase our giving at the historic rate. We didn't take into account that when you raise $2 million, that has an effect on the giving as well. So our giving is up 3%. But if you know that anything about the inflation rate last year, it was up about 9%, and that's why our budget was up about 9%. So if time, talent, and treasure, if you've got time, we got a bunch of ministries that need your time. If you've got talent, we got a bunch of ministries that need your talent. If you've got treasure, we got a bunch of stuff that needs our treasure. So find the thing God has called you to be a part of. Yes. One more.
My question is,
You're the closer, Bunny.
well, maybe not. My question is, the progressives, whoever they are always welcome in our church.
Yeah. We have a lot of progressives in our
Okay.
church,
But I want to know,
and a lot of conservatives.
do they believe that the scripture is outdated? Or
Well,
is
so
scripture
that's
constant?
a complicated. I think the best way to end this, we have a lot of progressives in our church. We have a lot of conservatives in our church. So we are not trying to shape you to be conservative or progressive. What we want to do is shape you to be open-handed and open-hearted toward people who aren't where you are. So. Some do, some don't. Yeah, some do, some don't.
And what is the Orthodox position?
Well, the Orthodox position is that the Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Amen.
So, yeah. Guys, thank you very much. Have a blessed week. Amen.